Hello, this is Josh from Watch All About and welcome to another watch review. In many ways, the tourbillon is horological advancement at its finest. I've always been mesmerised by them, but you know what, I rarely get a chance to handle them. In fact, this and another watch by Manufaktur Waldhoff, the Imperial Diamond Silver, are the first tourbillons I've reviewed on my site. Now, a tourbillon expands upon a standard escapement of a mechanical movement to make it more accurate, and it does this by negating the negative effects of gravity upon it. With a normal escapement, it usually behaves slightly differently depending on the position of the watch. So for instance, it might be more or less accurate if the watch is face up, face down, or on its side, etc. But with a tourbillon, because the escapement is in a cage which is constantly rotating, there's never one specific angle where the watch is more or less accurate. Anyway, enough about the technical aspect of a tourbillon. Let's take a look at this watch we have in front of us. At slightly over £1,000, it seems quite pricey at a glance, but tourbillons always demand a higher price. There's no way around that. In actual fact, it's actually fairly reasonable. Sure, there are cheaper tourbillons, but they tend to be extremely plain. Certainly not to the same level of opulence as this watch. I mean, just look at it. Gold, blue, and mother of pearl. All of these things equate to a really luxurious appearance, and it does not disappoint. There is one thing worth highlighting before we get into the nitty-gritty. You might be asking yourself, how could it say made in Germany on the dial, but how's a Chinese movement, the Peacock 5213? Well, the rules for made in Germany are not the same as Swiss made. Swiss made requires a Swiss movement. As long as it's physically manufactured and put together in Germany, that's all that's required for that label. Now, from the moment I laid eyes on the Ultramatic, I was pretty much mesmerised. You know, a tourbillon is going to do that to most of us, but it's not just that central rotating focal point. The entire package of this watch is just so lavish. It's not a small watch by any means, but then again, it's not the kind of watch that's designed to be undercover or reserved. The 42.5mm diameter is about the limit of what I'm happy to go comfortably with my 7-inch wrist. However, the lug-to-lug length in comparison is shorter than expected, which does help the wearability. The height of 13.8mm is on the tall side. It's not particularly slender, so it won't easily slide under a shirt cuff, especially if you have tight shirts. There's a great amount of depth to the dial thanks to the higher outer layer with a beveled inner edge, detailed deep set subdials, and of course the rotating cage of the tourbillon itself. The hands are a strong, elegant, pitched Dauphine shape filled with lume. I like the way the minute hand stretches more or less right to the outer edge of the dial. Now, there's no running seconds hand, so there's no real way of setting it perfectly to the second. Usually, I can't stand 24-hour indicators. For me, I think they're the most pointless complication, but the artwork of the globe behind it is so delightful, and it's an inspired design choice. My main disappointment with this watch has got to be the applied logo. It cheapens an otherwise stunning watch as it's so flat and feeble looking, especially when it's sat right next to the thicker applied hour markers. One surprisingly delightful aspect of the Ultramatic is the blue mother of pearl base of the centre of the dial. It's not overpowering and it's certainly not tacky looking, but rather it provides a delicate array of markings and reflections ranging from a deep blue to a searing teal. The gold-plated case has a distinctive ribbed or coin edge around the sides, which reminds me of some serious Breguet vibes. That's certainly not a problem at all, as it supports the grandiose feeling that this watch provides. The case also has a really surprising water resistance of 150 meters. Now, I would have fully expected it to only have been, a pretty poor rating of 50 meters. So that's a good thing. Whilst the Peacock 5213 coaxial tourbillon movement is Chinese made, it's most certainly not cheap and cheerful. Peacock tends to have quite a good reputation, and they also have pretty high quality control. It has a beat rate of 21.6 thousand beats per hour, so that's 6 ticks per second, 29 joules, a 40-hour power reserve, hand and automatic winding capabilities, and it has a custom sticker applied to the rotor. I would have preferred something a bit more fancy, such as, some sort of nice engraving on the rotor ideally. Now, whilst I'm not expecting COSC specs, I also would have preferred a much better accuracy than the plus 13 seconds a day that this one is coming in at. The strap is a deep, lavish blue that matches the dial to perfection. It works so well with the rose gold case as well. It's a refreshing alternative to the usual black and steel combo that we see so much of. The leather is thick, but it's also very supple, it's comfortable, and I much prefer a matte finish like this to a shiny patent finish. The rose gold buckle is a slightly modified butterfly clasp in that the two sides open up, but one is larger than the other and contains the top bar with the logo deeply engraved within. It's very secure, easy to use, and straightforward to adjust. So what are my final comments on this watch then? Well, this is a stunning example of a watch looking much more expensive than it really is. Yes, I realise it still costs just over £1,000, but for a tourbillon built to this level, no punches have been pulled here, and it genuinely looks and feels fantastic. So thank you so much for watching, guys. This was the Manufaktur Waldhoff Ultramatic Carbon Bay. Don't forget to like, subscribe, please drop a comment as well, and I look forward to seeing you next time. See you later. Bye-bye.